Hi everybody, I'm Trish Christ. In this episode of Our Nashville, NECAT and our super crew of teenagers spend some time with Rebuilding Together Nashville. Executive Director Caitlin Destug and her team are going to show and tell us all the cool things they do in our community. You ready, Caitlin?
I'm ready, Trish.
You ready, super crew?
Ready.
Let's make the show. It's Our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
We all know how to talk about our organization during meetings, but what about the chance encounter of a lifetime? You never know who may share your next elevator, notice your logo on a notebook or a tote bag, and ask what you do. What's the clearest, most persuasive thing you can say in a short elevator ride?
Rebuilding Together is a really special organization doing really important work here in Nashville. We're helping preserve affordable housing opportunities as they're rapidly disappearing here in our community. And we're making sure no one gets left behind. And we're doing this through the efforts of many partners and a whole village behind us that's helping us get this done. So we'd love for you to get involved and help us out.
Caitlin, I'm so happy to have you here talking to us about Rebuilding Together Nashville.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask you probably a pretty obvious question to start with, but it's a good place to lay the groundwork, lay the foundation, no pun intended. What is the purpose, straight up purpose of Rebuilding Together?
Sure. So Rebuilding Together, we believe that every person deserves a safe and healthy home, and that our communities in Nashville should be thriving. So our mission is repairing homes, revitalizing communities, and rebuilding lives. And we do that mostly through direct home repair and renovation assistance.
Wow. That's kind of a huge mission.
It is. It is.
I mean, it's straightforward, but rebuilding, repairing, renovating, affecting lives, safe environments, all that's big.
Yep.
Let's talk about how you were founded. When and how did Rebuilding Together come to pass?
So we were founded actually under the name Christmas in April. So many long-term Nashvillians who've been here a long time often are like, oh yeah, I remember Christmas in April.
Oh.
I volunteered with them. They helped my home or my family member. And we were actually founded in the mid-90s, around 1995.
Wow.
And the folks that founded the organization were mostly from the architecture community.
Makes sense.
And they knew they had some skills. They wanted to give back. And they worked year-round to recruit volunteers, raise money, and find homeowners who had critical repair needs that were not being addressed. And they made all that happen to kind of go out and do this amazing community service once a year in April. And we operated that way for many, many years. And a big change in that was when the flood of 2010 happened.
Right. Wow. Because suddenly there's a zillion people who need repair.
Exactly. So we pivoted and were really recalled to become a disaster response organization overnight. So during that time, we worked closely with the city and other partners to really be on the front lines helping homeowners recover after the devastating floods in 2010.
Wow. Was Christmas in April a Nashville-specific nonprofit?
No, so we were actually part of a nationwide movement.
Okay.
So actually the first Christmas in April was started in Midland, Texas by a gentleman there. And the idea that people who had certain construction skills or no skills at all, just a heart to help their neighbors in need, could really do something to improve the homes and lives of their neighbors. Really spread around the country pretty quickly. And here in Nashville, the American Institute of Architects chapter locally,
I see.
Some leaders in the architecture community really grabbed onto this idea and ran this organization really as a grassroots organization for many years.
And in response to the 2010 flood, did you then align with Rebuilding Together, which I think is a nationwide nonprofit as well? Is that where the change happened?
So we're an affiliate of a national network of affiliate nonprofits, and together all the Christmas in April affiliates changed their name to Rebuilding Together in the early 2000s.
I see. I see.
Yep.
So it's the
Yep.
same national organization and the same chapters, just a different rebranding and sort of a different
Exactly.
pivoted focus for
Yep.
everyone. I got it.
And a lot of it was many of us and Rebuilding Together here locally in Nashville included, started doing work year round. And as the needs were growing,
Oh, yes.
realized that we were called to do this work year round rather than just once a year.
Sure, especially since our flood happened in May.
Our
Can't
flood,
very well
yes.
wait till the next April to respond to that.
Exactly.
I think when a lot of folks think about nonprofit home, I almost said homework.
Yeah.
Nonprofit work on homes. A lot of folks think of Habitat for Humanity.
Yep.
So I'm sure you spend a fair amount of time explaining the difference between you guys and Habitat. Tell us what the differences are.
Sure. So a similarity is that we really both use the power of volunteers to help homeowners at different stages at the homeownership cycle. So where Habitat really helps homeowners become first-time homeowners, we help preserve homes and homeownership for families who oftentimes have been long-term homeowners. So really both the creating, and as we kind of fit into the larger affordable housing conversation here in Nashville as well, it really takes all pieces to make the affordable housing puzzle work. So both creating those new units, creating new affordable housing opportunities, and where we come in is helping preserve those affordable housing opportunities in the community and also for families.
Let's talk about the types of work that Rebuilding
Sure.
Together might do on a home.
Sure.
We're not talking about, I want my front porch to be prettier, I want to update my kitchen. These are not, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
the types of projects that you do.
Yep. So it's less probably what you'd see on HGTV or a TV show about home renovation or home repair. We focus on safe and healthy housing as our core driving principles. So when we work with a homeowner and a family, we're really looking at what are the hazards at the home that is preventing this from being a safe and healthy home for this family to live in. So oftentimes it's about making sure that the indoor air quality is good and improved. It's about making sure there's no fire hazards in the home. If there is a senior or someone who's looking to age in place in their home, making sure there are no fall hazards, tripping hazards that might be present. So the type of repairs we do in those categories are everything from ripping up old carpet that's often an allergy that often decreases the quality of air in a home for a family who with a child who might have asthma, all the way to installing grab bars, building a wheelchair ramp, or doing full kitchen and bathroom renovations for someone who just is adjusting to a new life in a wheelchair, whether that's someone with a disability, a senior, or a veteran of the armed forces who has come back from conflict.
Wow. Very important changes to a home.
Yes, yes. And a whole other side of what we do too is weatherization work. So
Yes.
making sure homes are energy efficient. We often find that homeowners we work with who are already on limited income, who are trying to make ends meet, are facing really high utility bills also in the summer and in the winter. So what we've been able to do is make modifications to help increase the energy efficiency of a home so that it decreases their energy bills. And those modifications are anything from caulking windows and doors, so doing some air sealing, but also making sure attics, crawl spaces are well insulated, and also making sure changing out light bulbs to LED light bulbs to make sure the house is energy efficient.
Wow.
I'm Christian Ryan and I'm here with Urban Green Lab. We're doing some home improvement, and particularly home improvement around energy efficiency and conservation, and also we're doing some really great yard work, and what that is about is kind of diverting water away from the house's basement and giving it a more natural flow around the house. Our mission is to help people live more sustainably, and that can happen in all kinds of ways, but energy conservation is clearly one of them. and also, sustainable landscaping is one of them as well. So sustainability is all about service, so it's a nice opportunity to do some of that today. So at Urban Green Lab, we teach people to live sustainably, but my job there is to work with Nashville businesses and corporations on sustainable workplace practices and policies. So what we wanted to do was get our corporate and business members connected in some more nourishing ways. We have meetings where we talk about sustainability best practices in our workplaces, but we wanted to provide our roundtable members a way to give back and connect in just a maybe more nourishing way. And so this was a perfect opportunity to do that and partner with Rebuilding Together.
Rebuilding Together does a lot of work with volunteers when we can, and when we have a volunteer group out, we're looking to find the right mix of tasks that will both meet the homeowner's needs, make their home a healthier and safer place, and that volunteers without many skills can actually do in a short half day of work on the site.
We're helping Miss Mahmood today with her drainage issues. If you notice, we have her lying on a slope. Miss Mahmood herself has come out and dug a drainage ditch in her own yard. And the water has naturally created a drainage ditch here, starting all the way at the top of the yard there. So we just want to try to make it in a drainage oasis for Miss Mahmood. Miss Mahmood likes to garden and she has chickens. She often gets visited by deer. So we just want to try to make it a little bit more tranquil out here for Miss Mahmood and try to solve her drainage issues.
We've got a group inside of the house who are focusing on doing some kind of cleanup of the painting in the front living room, and then also doing some energy efficiency upgrades like insulating a hot water heater. We'll be installing extra insulation and caulk around the house, as well as installing LED light bulbs throughout the house today. And this house is really an energy efficiency focus, but in other houses we might do things like rip out old dirty carpet, especially in houses where somebody has breathing problems. We might install grab bars or shore up steps with handrails or other ways to make the entries and exits of the house safer. Anything that we think volunteers can do to help us, we want to do for the homeowner.
My name is Faiz Mahmoud, and I applied for that, I believe 5 years ago, and they come and help me. I like it, help me a lot. They put for me 14 new window and a new air conditioning unit, the inside out, and they replaced the duct for the air conditioning, and some side work like in the garden and painting, and help me with digging my creek for the water in the backyard. Honestly, my electric bill is going down after they do the window, and especially the window. The window was very, very bad. It's completely open, the window was. And they dropped me from 400 now. Last month I pay 175.
I am certain that a lot of people watching this right now are starting to make their wish list for themselves and their neighbors. So let's take a minute and say that you guys are presently at capacity, I think, in the number of homeowners you are currently working with. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that situation right now. How big is the meal on the plate that you're dealing with?
So the needs in Nashville we're seeing are definitely growing. So as our housing stock is aging and getting older, as more people are desiring to age in place and stay in their homes rather than move to a care facility prematurely or eventually, we're seeing a lot more needs in the community. And also as Nashville has changed and the cost of living has gone up, there's leaving less room in many families' budgets to make home maintenance and home repairs a priority. So as we've seen the needs grow, we've been growing our capacity to respond to those needs. But still, even after growing our capacity, we find we get about 20 calls to our office monthly where we have to refer out to other partner agencies and programs just because the needs are great and growing.
It's fortunate that there are partner agencies that can pick up some of the parts and pieces that may come your way.
Yep.
Even though right now you may be at capacity in terms of homeowners that you're working with, would you still encourage people to call you to get a referral to someone who may be able to help them?
Absolutely. Many times there are programs out there that are either zero interest or low interest loans to be able to do home improvements yourself. There are other programs that serve specific areas or populations that you may be able to be a better fit for. And we really help connect families who have home repair needs to those partner agencies. who
Awesome.
can serve
Awesome.
them.
Let's talk about your clients then.
Sure.
Let's talk about some homeowners. How do they find you? B, are they of a certain category? And if so, what is that category?
So we work exclusively with homeowners, so single family homeowners here in Nashville, Davidson County. And those homeowners own their own home, must be up to date on property taxes, up to date on mortgage payments, and have homeowners insurance. And once you meet those qualifications, you can apply directly to our program. And we look at a lot of things. One is total household income. So we work with families who make 80% of area median income and below, and that's total for the whole household. We also work with 3 specific populations, so seniors that we define as 60 and older, who are looking to age in place and often need those accessibility modifications to do so. We work with families who have someone in the household who has a disability, and we also work with veterans of the armed forces. And those are kind of the 3 specific populations that we work with.
Talk me through the household income part again a little bit.
Sure.
Things have changed so much financially in Nashville these last few years. Let's break that down into simpler bites if we can.
Sure.
We're talking total household income. Maybe one person works, maybe more than one person works, and that total amount needs to be how much?
So for a household, so how we calculate household income and how many affordable housing programs in the city and across the country do so.
Yes.
So often if you're applying for a loan through HUD or an apartment that is rent controlled, you'll be kind of reporting your same income. But we look at all income for the household, so that's wages, that might be Social Security benefits, disability, anything that's coming in, and we do it on a percentage basis. So whatever the area median income, which is a income rate defined by HUD for different counties.
By county.
By county.
Okay.
And it
Wow.
changes over time.
That's tough, because look how varied all of Davidson County would be. There's
Exactly.
everything from big numbers to little bitty numbers. in there.
Exactly. Yep. And so we look at percentages because, especially for areas like Nashville, it is changing so rapidly that as most people in Nashville know, what you made, if your household made a certain income several years ago, that looks a lot different in today's Nashville. So that's why we work off a percentage basis, and many other affordable housing programs do the same.
And you said 80% of the area median income.
That's right.
Okay. How do your clients find you?
They find us mostly through referrals, so through partner agencies, social workers they may be working with, or word of mouth. So many times we've worked with a homeowner on a certain block or neighborhood, and they've shared with their neighbors what we were able to do for them. Their neighbors might be in a similar situation, and they apply directly to us. So we actually don't do very much outreach, advertising for our services. We've always, it really speaks, I think, to the need here in Nashville that really homeowners in need are coming directly to us.
I would think Rebuilding Together is the most popular kids in town. I bet you get calls all the time.
We
and
do.
That's awesome.
It is.
Awesome that you're there.
It's really good.
Tell me about some clients whose lives have been particularly improved through your work and how they may have shared that with the street and the neighborhood and so on.
Sure. So I'm thinking about a few clients in the last few years. One client who I just went over and visited with a few days ago. She has lived in Nashville for about 40 years, raised her kids in the same 800 square foot house in the Nations that she lives in today. And as she was getting older, she lives alone, applied to our services because she really wanted to desire to stay in her neighborhood, even though it was rapidly changing around her. She loved her home, loved her neighborhood, loved the proximity to her church and her social networks. She applied to Rebuilding Together, and we were able to help her with many of the repairs that she needed in her home to make it able for her to age in place. While we were doing her home assessment and talking to her about her needs, we discovered that she was a devout parishioner at a church in her neighborhood. That same church, their men's group, had actually reached out to us recently about wanting to volunteer and get involved.
Nice.
So with her permission,
Full circle.
So with her permission, we were like, do you mind if we, let your men's group at your church know that you need some of these repairs, things, we may be able to do more bringing in a volunteer group and stretch our budget. And she was thrilled with the idea. She loved these guys. And so we were able to make that happen, made that connection. And through the strength of this congregation and their men's group, they pulled in Joey, who owned a roofing company, and they were able to do her roof at cost for us.
Wow.
They pulled in Mickey, who owned a HVAC heating and cooling company, and he gave her, a full new HVAC unit.
Wow, that is amazing. Let's talk about the expertise involved, because it can't just be a bunch of nice people who get some hammers and go over to go over to make change.
I like to say, if you don't want to volunteer doing something in your home, we probably don't let an unskilled volunteer do it in someone else's home.
That's fair. That's fair. So there are experts who probably design or guide,
Yes.
and then volunteers. You tell me how that works.
Sure. So when we scope out a work scope for a project, anything that requires a technical background, so that's our roofing, electrical, plumbing work, any structural improvements we're doing, we will contract that out to a professional who's licensed and can make sure things are built up to Metro Code. Anything else that we can bring a volunteer group in to do, and some of that is some of the weatherization work that our staff can train unskilled volunteers to do on site. Some of that is painting, landscaping, any kind of other work scopes that required semi-skilled or unskilled volunteers. We'll plug in volunteer groups so that we can stretch our budgets and do more for less. But oftentimes we were relying on skilled contractors, professionals, and tradespeople to come in and do the technical work that's required.
Because you want to do it right.
We want to do it right.
Yes. How are you funded?
We are funded through a combination of different things. Oftentimes, just as our work scopes and the projects we do for homes, we're pulling from many different sources to kind of make a project work. Our whole organization is funded through a variety of sources. So our biggest source of funding right now is from the Barnes Fund for Affordable Housing. So the city has a housing trust fund, and we were the first organization that does home rehab and renovation work to get funded through the Barnes Fund. So just as new construction, for many years the Barnes Fund funded new units being built, and we're helping on the preservation side of the affordable housing question. Otherwise, we're funded through corporations in town, so a lot of generous companies who sponsor projects will come bring their companies out for a team building day, and many of these groups are from the construction industry, which is a very generous industry in Nashville. So they come and bring their special skills and do a project for us. We're also funded through a few foundations in town, but also through the generosity of individual donors.
What could someone watching us talk about Rebuilding Together right now do to further your endeavors?
Sure. So you can come out and volunteer with us, and you don't need to have any special skills to do that, just a desire to roll up your sleeves and give it a try. So you can sign up for our volunteer e-news blast on our website, and when we have all-call volunteer opportunities, that's when we email this group of volunteers to see if you want to come out and volunteer. If you've got a group that's interested, whether it's your company, your team at work, or a civic group that you're a part of, get in touch with us and we can partner with you guys on a project. But also, if you'd rather not get involved and volunteer in the field, we have committees that support our work year-round. So if you have an expertise in event planning, fundraising, finance, or general nonprofit program management and development, we've got a volunteer role for you. So get in touch with us and we'll plug you in somewhere.
Fantastic. We have come to my favorite part of the interview process. And I don't know if you know what's ahead of you or not.
Uh-oh.
But this is the speed round portion of the interview, where I ask you a question like the game we would have played when we were kids. The first thing that comes to your mind, let it fly, and we'll go on to the next one.
Sounds great.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Speed round with Caitlin Destug. Name 3 elements that can make a home unsafe.
Molds, not working smoke detectors, and water leaks of any kind that may cause mold, the first one.
Yes. Name something homeowners should do at least once a year.
Check their smoke detectors for working batteries.
Name 1 advantage of being a homeowner.
Having an asset in your family that you can pass down to future generations.
Name 1 disadvantage of being a homeowner.
Responsibility.
What is the average household income of the families you serve?
Average about $20,000 a year.
What mark do you want Rebuilding Together Nashville to make on our community?
I want Rebuilding Together to be the bridge between old and new Nashville and making sure no one feels left behind.
Good. That's so good. And a very easy question, Caitlin,
Sure.
what's your website?
www.rtnashville.org.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trish.